If you're going to be doing the baseboards in your home, there's really 7 key tips that I've picked up over the years that are going to make the biggest difference. If you're putting in new baseboards or even reusing the old ones that you've taken off, I recommend step 1, 2 coats of paint for the baseboards. Step 2, measure, cut, and install. Step 3, fill the nail holes, caulk the top edge. Step 4, touch up paint for the nail holes. Step 5, break out a celebratory dance because you're no longer doing baseboards. So before we get into the painting, if you have any baseboard returns, I have a couple spots where the baseboard's going to be butting into a thin strip of tile. So I'm going to end up doing a couple of turn down returns, which is simply the baseboard just turning down into the floor, leaving you with a nice finished thin edge to butt into the tile. When it comes to the paint, I recommend getting a dedicated latex water-based paint. I like Cloverdale Multimaster. The sheen level that I like is satin. You could go semi-gloss, it just depends on personal preference. I like satin for the trims, and then the walls I'll do eggshell. If you're going to be painting a profile baseboard, I recommend getting a nice angled brush, 2.5 or 3 inch with soft bristles. Any of these products that are available, I will link them in the description. If you're doing a flat profile baseboard, you can use a short nap roller like a 5 mil. That way it's going to go on a little quicker and you can get a nice uniform finish. And then the real secret here is anytime I'm painting trims, I like to add a little bit of water to the paint, or better yet, some Floetrol. What that does is it just lets the paint level out a little better. And if you're going to be brushing, it allows you to have a little bit more open time to get some nice flowing brush strokes, and you can go back over it a couple of times. Without the Floetrol, the paint will set up pretty quick. And yeah, if you try to rebrush out some bad areas, it's going to start sticking right away. So the Floetrol makes a big difference. A quality tape is going to make a big difference here. And then go ahead and draw yourself a measurement map of the room that you're working in. Now, anytime you have an inside corner or an outside corner, take a square and check it. Now this one, you don't need an angle finder necessarily. You can just go by feel. This one is quite open. I'm going to go ahead and cut that 44 degrees. In general, you're usually going to want to cut the inside corners less than 45 and the outside corners more than 45. And then the second one, something that I learned when I did the baseboard in 90 apartment buildings, pretty much by myself. If you're going to be measuring this length of baseboard along the wall here, take a scrap piece of baseboard, same thickness, where you could butt your tape measure into it at the bottom flat section. What that does is it accounts for any kind of imperfections in the drywall. Sometimes the drywall is missing along the bottom, or sometimes it just tapers in. That's going to account for that, and it also allows you to mark your baseboards on the face, which is going to make it easier to cut. There's really 2 fundamental areas here when it comes to cutting that people get wrong. The first is marking out the piece. What I like to do, this first piece that I'm cutting is 64 and 11/16. Hook your tape on the end, run it past, lock it off. That way you can have 2 hands to mark the piece out. Take your tape, fold it down right flush with the material, and then start off to the right of the mark and pencil your way over right till you get to the left edge of the line. And then I like to put a little X on the cutoff side. Then you have a super accurate mark. And then when it comes to cutting, do the same thing. You start to the right, make a series of small cuts until you've completely cut the line off. Not any more, not any less. And then the second thing, I see it every time I help somebody out with their own equipment. People often overlook the importance of a miter saw stand. You don't need an expensive stand. I got this one for $60 on sale. And then it makes it way safer and a lot easier to get nice accurate cuts because your piece is going to be sitting nice and flat on the base of your saw. I recommend an 18 gauge nailer with 1.5 inch long nails. That's going to work perfectly for your standard kind of 1/2 inch to 3/8 wide baseboard. The best spot to nail this baseboard on is in this flat curve section. That way it's also going to be hard to see where the touch-up spots are with the paintbrush. You really only need 1 nail per stud. If you got like a 5 or a 6 inch baseboard, you might want to go 2 nails per stud, but a lot of people go wrong putting in too many nails And then I've got two crafty little tricks to show you about how to get your inside miters lining up beautifully. For these inside corners, I like to glue them together with a little bit of white caulking, assuming that the baseboards are white. Yeah, so the white caulking is nice because if it squeezes out, you can wipe it off with a wet rag and then it just looks like the baseboard. Put that back in place. So as you can see, that corner is looking beautiful. The mistake that a lot of people make here is they start putting nails on this inside board right near the corner. If you nail this bottom edge in, all of a sudden your miter is going to push apart. So don't put any nails right where the miter is in the inside corner. It's not going to come away from the wall because it's holding itself there. So nail one stud back in either direction. Sometimes it does make sense to nail the inside miters, which we'll have a look over on the other side of the bathroom. So over in this far corner of the bathroom here, you can see that this inside miter is not really lining up that nicely. This piece is nailed on now. So what you could do, if you have a shim, you could definitely throw a shim in there, nail it on, caulk the top edge. If you don't have a shim, you can take one of these little bars, pry it out a little bit, and then just shoot a nail in into the corner. Yeah, so you can see that's looking pretty good. It's really secure in the corner there. So that's a handy little trick to kind of pull out that top edge to line up the miter a little nicer. And then of course you'll be caulking that top edge so you won't notice that it's away from the wall. For filling the holes, I like to use Drydex or a white wood filler. Put a little bit on your finger, push it into the hole. Make sure that it bulges out a little bit so you have something to sand and you don't have to do 2 coats. The real secret here is once you've done the sanding, take a slightly damp rag and wipe off all the dust. That'll help a lot for the touch-up paint. When it comes to caulking, the best advice here, a small tip, a dripless gun. We're gonna caulk the top edge of the baseboards, then we'll also hit the inside miters and wipe that off. If you wanna see a dedicated video on my best caulking tips, that is right up here. Then when it comes to the painting, the best thing that you can do here is start with a good, clean, dry brush. Don't put a lot of paint onto the brush. Mix up the paint similar to what you had in the beginning if you've added water or Floetrol, and then just hit your little nail holes. That's gonna look beautiful. That's all the tips I have. Good luck with your baseboards.